Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nonye and this is Learn to Sew with Nonye. Today I want to teach us how to make a kimono jacket with a matching pant. Okay, so this particular video will just consist of making the kimono jacket, and you have to look forward to the next video I'll be uploading, and that will show us how to cut a short female pant. Okay, I'm making use of this plain and pattern fabric. It's so beautiful and it comes in 2 yards each. So the blue one is 2 yards and the other one is 2 yards. Okay, so I'll be consuming the whole fabric. Yes, I'll be working with the 4 yards for both the kimono and the trouser, but this is just a kimono class. Okay, so if you want to see how to make a perfect trouser for a female, watch out for the next video. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So I want to fold my patterns or your fabric in case you're working with a pattern. Okay, just fold your fabric into 4. First you fold into 2. Okay, now this is because I want to cut the 2 pieces together. You know it's going to be 2 in total by the time you're done, the front and the back. Okay, so instead of cutting the front separately and cutting the back separately, that would be time consuming. Okay, so what I would do is to fold together so that by the time I'll cut everything together and it will save time. So if you're working on a time frame, this is the best way to cut whatever you're making. Now I'm folding into 2 for now. Now for you to fold into 2, you're going to consider the highest measurement of the body, which is the bust or the hip, depending. But for a dress, because it's going to be a kimono dress, it's going to be the hip. So whichever one is bigger for you, either your bust or the hip, add 8 inches to it. Okay, so the hip I'm working with is 44 plus 8 inches. So whatever you get, that's what you'll be folding with. Okay, or you can decide to do your hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches is the same thing. Just fold accordingly. Okay, so by the time you fold and you check to see if when you divide your hip and your allowance, it will be enough. You just need to check. So make sure that you fold correctly so that you will not start marking and you notice that you don't have enough allowance, because if you do, you have to start afresh, and sometimes it doesn't really look nice. Then it frustrates you that you don't want to get into the sewing process. So just make sure that everything is neatly folded. Okay, so if you have your iron now, this will be a good time to press so that everywhere will be flat and straight, so that when you cut, your cutting will be very okay. Okay, so the measurements we'll be needing for this kimono is the bust, the waist, the hip, and the length of the kimono you'll be making. You also be needing your shoulder measurement, the round arm, the sleeve length, and the round sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to start with making a starting point. This will determine where I'll place my shoulder. Okay, so the shoulder we're working with is 16. You mark half of the shoulder measurement. Okay, so the shoulder 16 divided by 2 would give us 8 inches. Okay, so on the shoulder line I would mark 8 inches. Now before that, we want to make sure we get all our vertical measurements. Okay, so you want to get your chest line first. The chest line is going to be half of your armhole measurement, which in my case is 18 divided by 2 will give us 9 inches. So the chest line is supposed to be 9 inches. Now because you're making a kimono, it's supposed to be a free dress, so I'll be adding half inch to that. So that's why I have 9 inches instead of 9, and that's why I have 9.5, sorry, instead of 9 inches. So I also do the same thing for my waistline. My waistline is 18, but I mark 18 to have a bit of ease. Okay, you also measure the hip depth, which is always 8 to 9 inches depending on the height of your client. So I'm making use of 9 inches. Like I said, it's a kimono, so it has to be free. So you also get that into a horizontal line. Then for the length of the kimono, I'll be making use of the entire length of the African print fabric I'm using. Okay, so by the time you cross check, you will see that you have all your measurements accurately. Please make sure that all your measurements are accurate, okay, so that it will give you a perfect fit. Now remember the shoulder measurements we talked about. Now would be a good time to impute half of your shoulder measurement. So on the starting point, which is also the shoulder line, you would mark half of your shoulder measurement. So you also mark the same thing on the chest line. Okay, then use your ruler to make a straight line. This is just basic bodies. Okay, so if you want to make a basic dress, or even a basic blouse, just use this method. Okay, this method is going to suffice as a basic dress and a blouse, so just follow this method accordingly. Now on the chest line, you mark quarter of your bust measurement plus the seam allowance you want to use. I want to use 1.5. Okay, you can use 2 inches. On the waistline, I'll mark quarter of my waist measurement plus 1.5 inches seam allowance. Now note, I added half inch to my measurements. Now quarter of my bust is 11, but I marked 11.5. Quarter of my waist is 10, but I marked 10.5. Okay, before you add your seam allowance, that is to have a bit of ease. So on the hip line, I also measured quarter of my hip plus half inch. Okay, that will be 44 divided by 4, which is 11, but I marked 11.5. Then 1.5 inches seam allowance. Then on the hem of the blouse, you also mark whatever it is you have on the hip line, transfer it to the hem. Okay, so you connect the seam allowance, the waist, the bust to the waist. Okay, then you also do the same thing with your hip curve to the hip. Okay, follow the curve. Okay, so that gives us the perfect hip curve. Then you would make a straight line down to where you have your hemline. Okay, you can decide to add about half inch or 1 inch if you want it really very free, but because it's a kimono, it's going to be open in front, so you wouldn't have issues with movement. Okay, so having marked out all the measurements, you come to the neckline. So I'll be using 3.5 inches as the neck width. Now if you're a smaller person or a medium-sized person, you can use 3 inches, but I'm using 3.5 because the client I'm working with is a plus size. So then the neck depth for the back is 1 inch. Okay, so for the back you use a neck depth of 1 inch because the neck depth for the back has to be higher than that of the front. Okay, so on for the front neckline, okay, I would measure, you can decide to take it down to your chest line, but what I want to do is from the center front. Okay, I'll measure about from the center front. Okay, then I'll come to the waistline, I measure about 2 inches upwards. Okay, then you try to connect it down, but if that would be too wide, I would recommend you coming on the chest line by half inch or quarter or 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so on the chest line I'm marking 3/4, just so that you don't have the neckline gaping. Okay, so you connect with the curve from the neck width to the quarter of to yes 3/4 of an inch that you make on the chest line. Then you connect it to the 2 inches you marked up from the waistline, so that way by the time you cut your neckline it won't be too open. Okay, so that is why I did that. If you decide to take it directly from the neckline to the waistline to be gaping. Then on the shoulder line, you come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope, then connect it to the neckline. All right, then our dress is coming up. You want to draft your armhole, so you measure what you have from the shoulder slope to the chest line, mark half of that. Then from the for the front armhole, you come in by 0.75 inches, which is 3/4 of an inch. Then draft your armhole. Okay, so then for the back armhole, you just come down from half of the armhole chest line measurement, and use your curve to draft your armhole. Then for the front, you connect the shoulder point to the 0.75 inches you came inwards from the armhole, then connect it down to where you have your bust line. Okay, so that serves as the armhole. Now you want to cut. We're done drafting our kimono. Okay, now for the shoulder point, I want to add half an inch to join the shoulders. Okay, because I didn't leave any allowance when I was drafting for the shoulder, so you want to add half inch, that by the time you cut out your dress, you'll be able to sew the shoulders together and your measurement wouldn't reduce. Okay, so I'll start cutting. Okay, from the hemline, take it down to the hip. Okay, then follow the hip curve to the waist, then through to the bust line or the chest line. Okay, so cutting tip: whenever you're cutting, just place your hand down on the fabric. It would help you control the fabric so it doesn't move around. And the first thing to do is to cut out the back armhole first. You don't cut through to the front armhole. Then you also come to the neckline and cut the back neckline first. Note that you're cutting the back armhole first and the back neckline first. Okay, so by the time you get to the neck width, you also cut through to the same allowance you gave for joining the shoulder together. Okay, yeah, so when that is out, you can now take out your back pattern. Okay, the armhole for the back is always deeper, so by the time you take out the back pattern, you can now trim out the front armhole. Okay, then you also cut out the neckline for the front. So making sure to fold accurately so that everything is also still in place. Okay, adjust your fabric. You can pin it down so that you're sure everything is in place. Okay, you can use a weight to hold it down, something that has weight, to hold it down. So I'll cut my neckline. Remember, it started from 2 inches before the waistline. You can make it 3 inches or whatever you want to do. So the neckline is out. Then I also cut out the armhole. Note that, please remember to trim the armhole. It's always deeper than that of the back. Okay, just so that your dress will relax and have a better or a perfect fit. All right, the armhole is out, so you can see the curve for the armhole, very beautiful. So you need to get this type of curve so that you don't have problems fitting into your dress. Now I want to slit the center front. Remember, this is a kimono and it's going to be open in front, so that is why we are slitting the center front, and that is why the back pattern doesn't have a zipper. Please note this so that you don't cut a zip for the back pattern then leave the front open. That wouldn't be a kimono. Okay, so I trust you guys to know that that is correct. Okay, all right, so we're done cutting the front pattern. Then we'll take it out. Okay, so everything is in place. You take it out and that will be the end. Okay, so I'll go to my sewing machine, then join and show us what next to do. Okay, then I'll use the plain fabric to cut out the trouser pattern like I promised, but I'll show us that in the next video. Then I would also cut out my belt, yes, and the cape or the band to tape round the neckline. Okay, we use to tape round the neckline of the kimono. Okay, so I've joined my fabrics together and also attached the band on the fabric. Now another sewing tip, please make sure you overlock of your fabric before you start sewing. Actually makes your job neater. So you can see the edges are overlocked. Okay, so I went ahead to join the sleeve and the collar around it, so just so that this video is not too long. Okay, but then the width of the collar is 2 inches. Okay, so for that reason I'll be cutting out a long strip of fabric. Okay, now to get the required length you'd use, just measure from the hem of your kimono jacket down to the front neckline, the back neckline, and all through to the other parts of the hemline. Okay, so whatever measurement you get there would be the length you'd cut out. You can add some allowance to it. Then my width is going to be 5 inches, the width of the strip you're going to cut out. Okay, I'm using the plain strip to make that. Okay, so you cut out 5 inches so that by the time you're done joining you have 2 inches. Now I'm cutting out 5 inches because I'll be folding that into 2. When I have 2, I have 2.5. Then after sewing I'll have 2 inches, just as in the case of my band. This is the band you use to tie around the waist. Okay, so you can see the half inch is enclosed inside, then you stitch. Okay, so the length of your band, this is the band that is going to be round the waist. It's separate from the dress, from the kimono jacket. Now the length is going to be your waist circumference times 2.5 or 3 inches, whichever one the case may be. This is just to help you, tie it around your waist comfortably, maybe 2 times, and even tie a knot around your waist. Okay, so the band. Okay, now I've also joined my sleeve. Okay, this is a basic sleeve. I only added the blue stripe, the blue pattern to it, just to make it more beautiful. So I hope you know how to make a basic sleeve, but if you don't, please request and I'll make the video on how to cut a basic sleeve. Okay, then the next thing is to fold the hemline. Okay, with your required seam allowance or wherever you want the jacket to stop. Okay, so just fold that in and make sure you iron out everything so that it will be flat. All right, so this is our kimono jacket and it's so lovely, it's so beautiful. Then this is the band that you would tie around your waist, just to make it more beautiful. It's so nice, so fine. Okay, I hope you try it out. Please subscribe to my channel, like, share, subscribe, and put on the notification bell. Okay, so that you'll be notified when I upload new videos, and I promise you I will. Now you can also match, like I told us earlier, that we're making a matching pant for it. Okay, so this is the pant we made. Okay, click on the next video to watch how to make the pants. Thank you.